To the death, I accept.
Good. Then pour the wine.
And this is a special book. It was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father. And today, I'm going to read it to you.
Regular
Dudes!
What stuff? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love.
Get your popcorn ready.
Doesn't sound too bad. I'll try and stay awake.
Welcome back to Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. I am Jamie G, and while I haven't been building up an immunity to iocane powder, I have upped my tolerance of California Cabernets, which might not sound as cool, but it's way, way more useful. Well, unless you're the Dread Pirate Soup. Once again, I'm here with the Soup Deuce. Who knows what he's immune to these days? We've also got Six Finger Mills on his left hand, our marvel of modern medicine. Dudes, I think it's inconceivable that we've done this many episodes without discussing The Princess Bride. We're going to remedy that today. Soup, are you ready to head to the Kingdom of Florin?
Yeah, absolutely. I am, man. I had a good time with this one. You know, a relook. It's obviously nostalgic for me, and we'll get into all that later. But right now, man, I got that mutton sandwich on the brain. So I'm looking forward to getting to Florida. I heard they got a good mutton sandwich over there, man. We'll talk about it.
You got to get through the eel zone very quickly there. You got to be careful about the eels. And as Jamie G pointed out, I'd like to thank all my doctors who gave me 2 fingers on my hand after I lost one in a weed whacking accident. I mean, I really only needed one, but I trust Dr. Nick.
Doctor, what's wrong? Don't you know where to make the incision?
All right, Nick. Don't panic. Think back to med school. Seriously, baby, I can prescribe anything I want.
Thank you for trusting us enough to check out Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We really appreciate it. You can find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com. Very simple, very easy to remember, just like the flaps. FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please remember to click that thumb. And it's been a crazy year. There's a lot going on, but we're always trying to fill our holes. We got to keep the holes in this house filled. Soup, what have you been doing lately, man? You filling your eye holes, your ear holes, your mouth holes, your wallet hole. What have you been filling up lately? What have you been getting into?
Yeah, man, I'm a man of many holes, dude, as of late. I'm going to go.
You have to have at least a minimum number, I feel. So you have at least the requisite number.
Got some holes, been filling them, man. Yeah, I'll start out with movies. I've been looking forward to watching this movie because it was getting a lot of hype, man. This movie, Hard Eyes. So I checked it out. It's supposed to be one of these awesome new horror movies, man, with like a memorable serial killer compared to in some. I guess they brought up shit like Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, who's our next horror movie killer guy.
Those are big names.
Yeah, exactly. So you get this Hard Eyes thing, and it's more. I don't want to give anything away about that movie, but it's not that. It's more along the lines of like a Scream situation or whatever, which there's nothing wrong with that either. But it just wasn't. It wasn't. The hype was a little bit more than I was let down a little bit. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. I'm not saying don't watch it, but it was good enough. But it wasn't as cracked up as it was supposed to be, or it wasn't as good as what I heard. It was
overhyped, really, is what you're saying. I think it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
It was overhyped.
I think a little bit misled as well, But we'll see. Maybe they do more with it.
It's a horror flick. I mean, maybe they come into their own in the 5th or 6th sequel.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give it the if more come out, I'll watch them and see where they go with it. But the initial this movie, it wasn't and that's what I get for trusting reviews and shit too. But whatever, it's part of it.
Yeah, you can trust us. They're not necessarily all the reviews, but you can trust us. As far as stuff that I have been keeping up on, obviously the Righteous Gemstones, we're talking about that on Romancing the Gemstones. Already almost halfway through the 4th and final season. Kind of crazy. I caught back up on the Wheel of Time. This is a fantasy series on Prime. It's in season 3. Gonna be honest, like I've heard very good things about the book series. It was recommended after Game of Thrones. Like, what else should you read? But it's like 14 books long, and I was like, oh man, I don't know about this. In the first season, Amazon built up the trust kind of after The Boys, Invincible, that kind of thing. I checked out; it was fine. But man, this show really at the very end of season two, the last couple episodes, and then in season three, it really kind of hit that next level. It hasn't been picked up for four yet, but now I'm actually kind of interested in seeing it, so I hope it does. As we watch this, there's one episode of The White Lotus left. Not going to say that, but I'm excited about it. No spoilers, whatnot, but we're going to see what happens there. We'll mention that a little bit at the end. And then finally, Yellow Jacket, same thing as we record this, one episode left. Very interested to see where they're going, how they're going to stick the landing here, but very excited to see how they do it. Jamie G, what have you been filling your holes up with?
Yeah, dude, a couple of things, man. I too have been filling my holes with those righteous gemstones, and it's been everything I've wanted. Really enjoyed it. It's hard to believe we're already halfway through the season, but it's been funny. The commentary, the dialogue is way up there. I don't know that I'd go Quentin Tarantino level of dialogue, but it's up there, dude, and it's super funny and just absolutely Danny McBride. So if you're into this kind of thing, watch this. Like, you're at a point now where you can start binging. Go ahead and do it. I am proud to say, Mills, that I just caught hot off the press, went to Trey Anastasio solo, an evening of acoustic with Trey, solo performance here. It was so awesome, dude. Saw it. It was historic theater. He's playing these super cool venues. The banter and the commentary in between the songs from him are just incredible. The stories are hilarious and great. This was so much fun. It's something totally unique and different, but it was a ton of fun and really, really loved this evening. Had a great time, man. So thank you, Trey. Thanks for coming to my town. There's only one night left. It's tonight. If you missed it, you missed it. But this was a great one, dude. This was a very cool tour.
Dude,
I
I
hope
saw
he does
that
it again
set list.
soon.
Yeah, I saw that set list from your show the other night, man. It looks sick.
It was a great one, dude. Absolutely great show. Thank you to our very own Magnum Mills. He talked me into exploring Apple TV outside of Severance, which we broke down in My Cousin Innie. Go check out that podcast. We did a great job with that. But outside of Severance, I decided to start watching Silo. I was like, all right, Severance. I'll go to Silo, and like, pretty soon there won't be an S in front of the name. It'll be something else. But dude, this is really cool. Graham Yost joint Mills, Graham Yost creator here. Yeah.
Justified.
Yeah, who did Justified, which we love. This is so cool. This has kind of like all the stuff I love in like a post-apocalyptic Fallout type scenario, but the concept is so cool. At first I was like, I don't know if these actors can really pull it off, but man, they're doing great work here, and it gets better every episode. About halfway through season one and absolutely loving it. So yeah, Silo, very cool. And then last but not least, let's just give a round of applause for the NCAA Final Four tournament. This has been fantastic. If you missed the games this past weekend, yes, Duke lost an upset to Houston. It was remarkable, and it'll be really interesting to see if Cooper Flag goes ahead and joins the NBA draft and becomes the, I don't know, first, second, third overall pick, or if he stays another season here and give Duke another chance. It was a pretty bad letdown here by Duke, but Florida, they came back, beat Auburn. It was two great games. Looking forward to Florida versus Houston, man. This should be a fun one. So been filling my holes with those things.
What's crazy is that I had Auburn in the Final Four. I have Houston winning it out of like 68 people in my bracket or whatever. The best I can do is like, I don't know, 20th. It's that it definitely has not been a good bracket year for me, but you're right. The games have been great to watch. I have watched both seasons of Silo. I say you should keep watching, and you should know Apple TV picked it up for 3 and 4, at which point it would end. So it's picked up all the way through and through. So that gives you, that's nice, right? When you want to pick up a show, you know that
comforting.
You know what you're working with, right? And it's
based on existing. You're going to see it through to its end, which I think is all you can ask.
And it's based on existing source material too. So if you wanted to go, you could kind of find out where it's going. But they've done a lot of nice adaptation with it. Very good cast here. So definitely enjoyed that one. I also finished up season 3 of Reacher. I'm surprised at how much I've enjoyed this. Alan Rickson's been around for a while. He's a big dude from Blue Mountain State. He was on Titans, Doom Patrol a little bit there. But man, he showed it's a nice, he called it a dad show on Amazon, but it's a little bit of a throwback to some of the older 80s stuff. It's just very well done. It's getting a spin-off. I'm sure it's going to get picked up for a couple more seasons. It's already been picked up for 4, so just a nice one to kind of keep up with. And JVG said, obviously, Severance season 2. Enough said. Check out My Cousin Innie. And then finally, The Old Man. This was the Jeff Bridges, John Lithgow series from Hulu and FX. It came out, I believe, in 2001 originally. A lot of delays. Came out with a season 2. I didn't get to catch it when it was on. It got canceled. So it's kind of hard to convince myself. You got to, I enjoyed the first season. I wanted to check it out, but it didn't necessarily finish out the way you wanted to. I honestly was very impressed. It wasn't a show that I thought was going to need a third or a fourth season, but they expanded the narrative. They did interesting things with it, and I think there was a lot more meat on the bone. Shout out to Ali Ashakad, who we all know probably is maybe from Arrested Development, doing great work here with Bridges and Lithgow. Obviously, very, very good actors. So very cool. It's out there on Hulu. So despite the fact that it kind of spoiler alert, ends and it's not necessarily a nice clean ending, but very cool. Especially if you like the first season and you're getting around to checking out 2, you should do so. Soup, anything else you've been filling them up with?
Yeah, there was a show I randomly stumbled across the other night, man, and it's something that had been out there for a long time, and I never really checked it out. Not that I know, I don't. It doesn't. I never remember a time watching this before, so I'm glad it popped in there. It was a show called Fridays from the late '70s, early '80s. Fridays. It's basically Saturday Night Live, man, but on Friday. It's funny. It's sketch comedy. I mean, the cast there's Larry David, there's Michael Richards, there's a lot of these people starting out, in their careers or whatever. And there's a musical guest, man. And I got to see a super young Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on one of these episodes. It was very cool. It's funny. It's that time era, so that's what you're getting into like the late '70s, as far as video quality and whatnot, and that vibe. But I love that about it, man. And it was cool. It's definitely worth checking out, man. It's on, I think it's on Prime. It's on something right now. And it randomly came up because I fell asleep watching something else. I woke up, that was on, and I was like, oh shit, this is what was this, and watched a few episodes, and there's still more I got to get through. I didn't see them all yet, but I'm definitely on that. I'm on that road, man. So yeah, I recommend that one.
All hail the algorithm. It understood what to tell Soup, and now he's feeding it back to us.
Yeah, man.
You got the feedback loop going, baby.
Well, dudes, in Florin, everyone gets to travel by horseback. Unfortunately, regular dudes watch stuff. We don't have a horse. We do have a bull, and that's besides the point. I guess we need to catch a ride on the hype train. Mills, tell us about an upcoming release that makes you want to ride the train, baby.
Ooh, Quad City DJ style. That is the style that the kids are still doing it, right? The Quad City way. I'm going to cheat a little bit here and go with something that I'm actually excited for based on the reviews and the fact that it's finally ending, but it's been so long. The last couple seasons were a little bit of a downer, and that's The Handmaid's Tale. A very, very good first couple of seasons. Great cast. Well done, but you can tell it was a show that was kind of spinning its wheels and it didn't know it was going to end. This is the final season. All of the early reviews have been extremely positive. It's a weird environment for it to come out in, but I think it's kind of important. That will be coming out on Hulu, first episode dropping April 8th, or a weekly release after that. And on a lighter note, excited for the Masters, one of my favorite golf tournaments of the year. Going to be a good time, even if you don't really follow golf. Good time, especially there's probably some legalized wagering in your state. Throw a couple bucks on and have a good time. Watch a little bit of golf. And I've mentioned it before, but now getting about as hyped as you can be about it again. Very fitting for these times, maybe Andor season 2, final season on Disney Plus. Pretty much by far the best Star Wars property that has been released in a long, long time. So even if you're not really familiar with all the other Star Wars movies, you could just watch Andor. They even put the first season up on Hulu for people to check out. So if you haven't, you can watch it. Don't feel like it would help if you've seen at least the Rogue One sequel, but outside of that, you don't really need to see a lot of other Star Wars to enjoy it, which makes it great. So Tony Gilroy doing great work with that. Jamie G, what's upcoming that you are hyped for, brother?
We're in April, and every April that rolls around, I start thinking about the NFL draft. I know it's 2-3 weeks away here, but I'm still hyped about it. We'll probably talk about it again once, maybe twice before it kicks off. But the NFL draft is always fun every single year. So definitely excited about that. Outside of that, speaking of the NFL, I saw my boy Josh Allen looking like the stud that he is with an absolute beautiful partner in Haley Steinfeld at the Sinners premiere. Dude, the more I research Sinners, the more I'm excited about it. Comes out April 18th in theaters. Great cast here, cool story, and they've kind of hidden a lot. Soup, what about you?
Well, I too am definitely stoked about Sinners, man. Yeah, that was definitely the one on my radar, man, going into this. But I don't know that I can add anything else other than whatever you just said about it. So I'm right there with you on that one, man. Good call, dude. Aside from that, man, I'm kind of looking into this the woman in the yard. Looks pretty good, but I feel like that's gotta have like I feel like from what I see from the trailers and whatnot, it's probably gonna be like a Shyamalan-esque kind of vibe. But maybe not. I could be wrong. But either way, I'm still looking forward to seeing it, no matter where it takes me. Not that there's anything wrong with it, you know, whatever. But yeah, so I'm curious on that one, man. It's like one that'll I feel like it'll either let me down or be like a zinger, you know. So yeah, the woman in the yard definitely has potential. Other than that, man, I mean, there's really not much on my radar.
That's definitely enough, I feel.
It's that time of the episode where we fulfill our legal requirement to reference Archer. We do that by offering you our sterling suggestions. We're each going to recommend something for you to check out right here, right now. Mills, you're up first here, man. What do you got for us this time as your sterling suggestion?
I got something and it's a little bit sad, but unfortunately, we lost Val Kilmer recently. But one thing I remember during the depths of COVID, when shit was real bad, you were looking for good shit that came out. One thing that came out was Val, a documentary about Val Kilmer on Prime, still available on Prime. Very cool. A lot of behind the scenes home movie kind of stuff. A lot of stuff with his family members. Yeah, it's not a series. It's just a straight up documentary about an hour, 40 minutes, hour, 45 minutes or so. So not really super short, but not a huge investment either. So again, especially given the light of the man just passing, all the great work he has done. Good thing to check out first before maybe diving back into some of his other stuff, including something I've already suggested. That's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. You could save it for Christmas if you want, but very good, lighthearted role. One of the better things he got to do towards the kind of the back quarter, back, 10th of his career here. Didn't get to do a lot after a certain time because of the medical issues, but yeah, real good one, kind of playing against type here. Shane Black, doing all the things we like here in a flick that he wrote and directed. Jamie G, what is your sterling suggestion for this episode?
Well, Mills, I'm gonna do something here to kind of continue the theme. And I really hope I don't want to put any extra pressure on Soup, man. Soup Deucer's got enough pressure on his shoulders because I too am going to go with an RIP Val Kilmer. So that's two for two, Mills. Hope you let it off, Soup. I hope you can continue it. If not, no big deal. But it would be cooler if you did. But I'm gonna go with Val Kilmer, and I'm just gonna go as him as Jim Morrison in The Doors, dude. I think this is such an underrated performance of Jim Morrison. You don't understand. There's been plenty of people that have tried to play, John Lennon or Elvis or Bob Marley. Dude, Val Kilmer's performance of Jim Morrison was not only epic and absolutely amazing, but was incredibly accurate, chilling, chilling to many degrees, and just he deserved an Emmy for this, dude. The range he went to from absolutely the worst things you could ever imagine to achieving incredible success to resonating with people all over the world. That scope and the fact that he lived it here, dude, and that's exactly what Jim Morrison did. He was at times a horrible human being who literally was brilliant and battled his own inner demons and spoke to people across the entire world. For Val Kilmer to do that and do it at this level and also it be an incredible movie and fun to watch, go watch The Doors, dude, and then go ahead and listen to some of their catalog. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of catalog. They were short-lived. They burned very bright and very fast. and that was it for the Doors. But go listen to their catalog. They were awesome, dude. Kind of, I mean, they did so much with the limited band. They didn't have the two drummers, first introduction to the pianist and the keyboard player here. Shout out Ray Manzarek. They were awesome, dude. Like, and Val Kilmer crushes. Not only does he crush, he looks like Jim Morrison. He was made to play this role. Go watch The Doors.
All right, Soup, no pressure.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of good ones there. A couple of good ones there, man. I mean, the Doors has always been one of my favorite movies, and yeah, Kilmer crushed it, and Eddie crushes it in pretty much everything he's in, man. So
He's a Kilmer crusher, dude. Double K.
Kilmer
He's
crushed.
awesome.
He is awesome. And the thing is, man, he picks these roles, he plays some of these roles, like he's done a wide variety of roles, but some of these really, really, what I think are the ones that are better, like where they're just so like, I don't know, he completely methods out, method acts it out and gets right in there, which um I think with some of the more powerful roles that he's done have been some of these more low key flicks. So I'm going to continue this by going with The Salton Sea. The Salton Sea is a great fucking movie, man. It's definitely not something I don't even know if it was in theaters. It's not something a lot of people know about. But if you think about the cast here, man, you got Val Kilmer, who plays a character who is kind of playing another character. He's like a dude playing a dude, thinks he's another dude. But it's definitely a mind twist kind of movie, and it's very well played by him, and it just shows the range of the acting range that he has to be able to become a character like this. And then the rest of the cast, I mean, you got Vincent D'Onofrio in there, man, playing another really crazy role. Like, I mean, the movie itself is pretty well written, man. It's definitely very extreme, but it's very, very cool, man. And it all comes together at the end. It's got that whole really crazy ending. So it's cool, man. I mean, you got Danny Trejo in the mix here, man. You got Adam Gold.
Deep Bench, dude. That's a great cast. As you were talking, I kind of looked it up on IMDb. That is a deep cast.
Yeah, it's deep, dude, and it's well written, man. I mean, there's a couple of things you know what? No, it's well written, dude. It's very, very cool, very cool. And it's one of those late night, I mean, if you're not going, if it's 2 o'clock on a Saturday and you're getting home by yourself and you're not going with Skinamax when it's back in the day when this movie came out, then this was on like Showtime, This is how I think that's how I ended up discovering this movie back in that, like whenever it came out, it was like that. It was just like randomly up on like one late night or whatever on like a random Showtime.
Depends on which 2 o'clock you're talking about, probably.
Yeah. But and I was like, whoa, this was damn, like, so since then I had watched it more and more times over the years, and it's good, dude. I mean, it's definitely.
You discover new shit when you're at off hours from other people because you watch shit that other people don't see at their regular human hours. So I appreciate that. As the guys worked overnights, I get it.
The Salton Sea, I definitely highly recommend it, man. Real good piece of acting by Val Kilmer, top notch Val Kilmer performance, man. And
awesome.
And a cool movie too, with a good story.
Great recommendations. Those are very, very sterling suggestions.
Very sterling indeed. And it's time to set the doing. We're going to do that by connecting us dudes to the dude via the 6 Degrees of Lebowski. Mills, what is your easiest path to get from the Princess Bride to the dude?
Jamie G, the simplest way, the easiest way is actually very easy, but it took a little bit of working to find. In The Princess Bride, Wallace Shawn plays Vizzini. In The Only Boy in New York, Wallace Shawn plays David, and Jeff Bridges plays W.F. Gerald. And of course, Jeff Bridges is the dude, so there's no database to find this on, and we have to do it manually. It took a little bit of work, but I feel it was worth it.
100% worth it. 100% worth it, and pretty good work, my dude, if I say so myself. But I'm not really familiar with that movie at all. I'd be lying if I said it was. Why don't you just, I need you to just dig deep give me a fun one here, Mills, before we move on. Just a fun one.
I think I can find something that you will like. In The Princess Bride, Carol Kane plays Valerie. In Transylvania 65000, Carol Kane plays Loopy, and Ed Begley Jr. plays Gil Turner. In Switch Hitter Season 2, Episode 7 of Arrested Development, Ed Begley Jr. played Stan Stitwell, and David Cross played Tobias Funke. In Run Ronnie Run, David Cross plays Ronnie Dobbs, and Bob Odenkirk plays Carrie Twilstein, amongst many other roles. In the Why Fry Season 5, Episode 8 of Futurama, Bob Odenkirk voices Chaz, while Billy West voices Fry. In Joe's Apartment, Billy West provided the voice of Ralph Roach, and David Huddleston appeared as P.I. Smith, and David Huddleston is technically the Big Lebowski. And I just wanted to point out that Megan Ward from PCU is also in Joe's Apartment. We just kind of ran out of degrees there. Otherwise, we would have looped her in.
All right, all right. Get your popcorn ready, people, because it is time for our featured review.
This is The Princess Bride, directed by Rob Reiner, on a screenplay by William Goldman, who wrote the book that this was based on, produced by Andrew Scheinman and Rob Reiner. The cinematographer was Adrian Biddle, edited by Robert Layton, music by Mark Knopfler, originally released September 25th, 1987. We had a budget of $16 million, upon which The Princess Bride only made $30.9 million at the box office, starring Carrie Elwes, Mandy Patinkin, Chris Sarandon, Christopher Guest, Wallace Shawn, Andre the Giant, Robin Wright, Peter Falk, and Billy Crystal. The short plot synopsis is: a bedridden boy's grandfather reads him the story of a farm boy turned pirate who encounters numerous obstacles, enemies, and allies in his quest to be reunited with his true love.
Yeah, so from this point forward, we're going to be doing a full-on spoiler about The Princess Bride. So if you have managed to miss this movie over the past, 40-ish years, give or take a few, then I find that a little inconceivable, man. But if you haven't seen it, warning, one time, that's it. Full-on spoiler, Princess Bride.
And as far as overall thoughts on this one, I will go first. This is a little bit weird for me because this is a flick that came out in the time period where I should have seen it a lot more when I was a kid, but it just, I don't know how it worked in my household. It just wasn't one that was in the regular rotation. I definitely remember having seen like the Andre the Giant stuff, that kind of thing, but I don't really like have that much nostalgia for it. I really saw it, I think, for the first time in full that I remember in college, but that was like 25 years ago, and it still really just feels like it holds up really well here. I'm very impressed with just how well it's made. It's not the best at anything, but it does everything at a slightly above to above average level. The pacing is great. This thing just moves. It gets everybody in. Here's what's going on. Bing, boom, boom. They use a little framing device with the grandpa and the kid to let lampshade a couple things. It's just well done, man. And it's breezy, it's easy, and you can watch it at any different age levels. You could watch this with, your 10-year-old child, you as a 40-year-old parent, and your 70-year-old grandparent. And you could all watch it together and probably enjoy the flick for some of the same reasons, but also for a bunch of different reasons. So even if it's not necessarily the best at anything, it's just so solid overall. You can pretty much watch it at any time, no matter what mood you're in. It's one of those flicks that I never am like, oh, I want to watch The Princess Bride, but if it's on, I would probably never turn it off. What do you think, Soup? Kind of overall thoughts here on The Princess Bride?
I absolutely love this movie, and I always have since I was a kid. I grew up with it. I did see this movie kind of a lot when I was younger, man. It was kind of in, I don't want to say like a weekly rotation or anything, but it was on a lot. It popped up there. I seen it a lot when I was younger. Always enjoyed it, man. And I like this kind of movie. I like the storytelling. You start out with somebody reading a book and then it goes into it, like the never ending story. There's another one like that where, somebody reading the book and then it's the book and so I like that style of movie. Always have. And I like the fantasy aspect of it. I love the landscapes, the visuals, just everything, man. And yeah, even the technicals, it does move at a great pace. It just carries you, like it never gets boring. There's never a downtime. You're always, it just kind of keeps you right there the entire way through, man. And it's definitely cool. And even when it does get into a little bit of like, oh man, you don't want to see another kissing moment, Fred Savage will be like, hey man, what the fuck, dude? No, let's get back to the good shit. So I think that was very cool with the way that it even incorporated that into the telling of the story. So all around, just I mean, it's the Princess Bride, man. Shit.
What is that you're ripping?
It's fabric from the uniform of an army officer of Gilder.
Who's Gilda?
The country across the sea, the sworn enemy of Florin.
Same thing for me. I mean, this is one that I saw a lot as a kid. This is just such a great concept. It's so well done. You get Fred Savage, like peak Fred Savage here as a cute little kid, sick, wearing the Bears jersey, right? Like the Bears. And I love the whole premise here where Grandpa comes in and reads it. And I love how they keep grounding this film because the film's so robust, filled with excitement and story and adventure and love and all that, but they keep grounding it with these incredible scenes where, you got this coming to age adolescent, the grandfather bonding with him in a way without trying to be cheesy, but still cool. And it's awesome the way they do it, where he's like, it'd be okay if you kept going. Like I don't want any more kissing scenes. Just it just was really well done. And then you top that off with an incredible story. It has everything. It has everything, just like the grandpa pitches it in that opening scene. It's got adventure, it's got sports, it's got fights, it's got giants, it's got mystery, it's got mayhem, and it's got love. To me, it's an outstanding movie. It'll always remind me of my childhood, but it's also so much fun to watch as an adult.
And I think one of the key things is how well that this holds up. I didn't see it as much when I was as young as y'all, but like I said, I saw it in college probably for the first time, and I see it now, and it's equally as good. I mean, if now it's maybe more impressive because we're further out from the 80s here, and this holds up a lot better than a lot of flicks from that era. I think part of it is probably the fact that they don't go for the effects. Most of the stuff at that time wound up being cheesy, so the fact that just kind of go with matte paintings and do it old school, I think makes it work, right? It makes it feel like more timeless. They just don't overdo it. They don't overstay their welcome. I think one of the things that is most impressive is just how well it holds up. Again, whether you're a child, whether you're an adult, from when you saw it as a child to now. Jamie G, you mentioned you saw this more when you were a youngin, when you were a youth. How does it hold up now watching it again? It sounds like you like it, but I mean, is it just as good pretty much?
It's almost better, Mills. Like you could because as an adult, you can look back and appreciate those things that maybe as a kid you knew they were there, but you didn't take the time to be like, that's a cool way to kind of show a kid coming of age or a kid in a rapid technology age bonding with his grandpa. Because just as much as books used to be television, right? Like television used to be books. Well, television used to be internet. And you can kind of see the generations going for further and further. And I just think it's so cool that you kind of have this coming of age story of this child, of this kid, but it's doing it through the love of getting caught up in a good book. And for anybody who's under the age of like 25, that could be like foreign language to you, but like, yeah, getting caught up in a good book's a thing and you should go ahead and do it. Like, go do it. It's a great time. And I think this holds up even better than when it came out because of those reasons.
Very, very well said. And now I think even it went from internet to now it's phone because it's internet on the phone, right? And
Yeah,
now
you're
people
right.
don't even read a book anymore, a physical book. They try to read it tablet, okay, but trying to read a book on a phone, you must have better eyesight than I do. How about yourself, Suit Man? How do you think this hold up versus when you watch it is a little bit of a wee man up till now? Now you're a very experienced soup in the back of the house.
I think it holds up well because in this movie it doesn't matter that what time frame this movie is in. It doesn't give you a year. I don't think it's not. 1760, whatever the fuck or whatever, you know, you
People
just
try to actually figure it out based on like there's Prince on Australia or something, but I don't care. I have no, it doesn't matter.
you just know it's before, well before internet, it's before vehicles, it's before
It's medieval times.
and so it doesn't matter what's going on in like the world now, because you know that once you enter this movie, that's the set you're in. But the thing is, the transformation between that or whatever the transition between that is when he's reading the story, because obviously that has got to be an early 80s ish vibe, you know. So you know that half the story, which is the fantastical part, takes place in whatever time, it doesn't matter, you know, but the actual telling of the story takes place probably in the early to mid 80s, you know. I would say mid 80s, but I think the movie's
Yeah, I
87.
mean, we're the Walter Payton joints. You're
You
right
can
in there.
feel
Yeah,
that,
that
yeah, you can feel that it's that
85
time.
Bears era. Yeah.
But you only get that one, you know, I mean, you only see that of it, you know, the actual story itself, the story in the story is kind of the story, you know. That's what makes this movie so cool. It's got layers, man. It's got more layers than an onion, dude, you know.
That spoken like a man who's working with the onion before. One thing that I never really realized was that this is actually based on a book written by a Goldsmith here who did the screenplay. So he's basing on his own work, and it's kind of a real meta thing. It's like a book about another book. And any of y'all actually had this read you when you were a kid or something? Rob Reiner apparently had. It, other people had experience with it. I had no idea it was an actual children's book or a book at all.
I didn't either. I had no idea this was a book. And now that we're doing this, and I hope I encourage others to do it as well, I'm ordering it and it's getting sent and I'm downloading it. I'm doing whatever, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this book, dude. This will be a 2025 book for Jamie G. Esquire the Fifth, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'll report back after I finish it.
Obviously, I mentioned it before. I think this is held up better than most of the flicks of the era. I think the main reason is obviously it was well written, well made, acted very well, casted perfectly, all that stuff. I do think it really helps that they didn't go with any of the effects and they played it fairly straight. They had some fun with it. There's comedy, but there's nothing that really pushes it, but there is some kind of under the level stuff there. But the story wise, it's easy to follow. It's paced very well. It moves very quickly. They didn't try to overstay their welcome. They didn't try to overkill the world building. I mean, honestly, the whole book bit about like the other kingdom and everything in the war, I never really care about, but at least it does give proper motivation. So I think for the most part, that's why I think it held up better than kind of some of these films we see from especially the mid 80s to the early 90s that just didn't quite age that well. What do you think, Jamie G, man? Why do you think The Princess Bride held up better than a lot of the other flicks from that era?
You're right. It didn't get sidetracked with a bunch of other stuff. There was underlaying tones that kind of set the stage, but the fact that they kind of continued on this epic adventure and you had the go back and forth between Fred Savage's character with his grandpa, which kind of grounded this film. But then the incredible acting. And here's one thing that I think was so underrated in this that not a lot of films did during virtually every big battle, there was the best banter. I mean, we're talking about incredible banter back and forth, dialogue, communication. Some of my favorite lines come from actually these battle scenes. And I think that's one of the biggest things. They didn't just say, "Hey, we're going to be adventure," or "Hey, we're going to be." They blended it all together. And I think that's what's so special about this, and that's why it holds up. On top of that, the acting's great. They didn't take any crazy chances that made it be like, oh, there's no way. They kind of did a good enough job with everything, even in like the you know the with the rodents of usual size and all the crazy things that happen. It's nothing was too far gone to where it's like you look back on it, you're like, I can't see that. I could see it all. They didn't take too many bold chances and they made it so it's kind of safe to be able to last generation over generation. And I think that's one of the more impressive things. That's not easy to do, Mills. It's not easy to do that, and I think they nailed it.
That's funny because at the very beginning of what you're saying, I'm like, man, he is making this sound really easy. And then you circled back around quite expertly to saying it is not as easy as it looks. What do you think, Soup, man? Is there any one point of this you can highlight as to why it's held up as well as it has, The Princess Bride.
I think it can relate over time. It doesn't age it ages well because like time isn't a factor really, you know. So I think that's cool. Aside from the outside of the storytelling thing, which I think could probably take place at any time. I mean, at this point, it might be kind of obsolete. I mean,
And it's definitely a take on the hero's tale. You know, they're not reinventing the wheel here.
yeah, I think for the most part, like, you know, because time really isn't that much of a factor. It's kind of like puts you in that universe of like I don't know, like it doesn't matter what time it is. So
It's not quite fantasy and whimsy, but it's not far off from that, right? They try to make there's some stakes at least, but it's not, you know, it's not really high stakes. It's again supposed to, I think, be at its heart kind of a kid's flick.
yeah, I don't know if I call it a kids flick, but it is family friendly.
Right. It's starting off that way, right?
You know, yeah, it's not very often I love a movie that's family friendly, but I love this one, you know. So
Right. Well, it presents it as, that's what I'm saying. Like they start out
right.
with the family, you know, the framing device here, where it's a grandpa reading to his grandson. You know, it's a story that he read to his son. So that's again, you're establishing that there. We can get into whether or not it's a Christmas present, but I think the important thing is just the way the story is presented.
You're spot on with the framing device, but the fact that they add the commentary and the banter back and forth, which they do virtually every battle scene, every kind of challenge that he takes here, you get that. I think that lightens the mood, lowers the temperature, and adds to that kind of overall arching feel of what this is, which is something you don't see. Usually during epic battles, there isn't this comforting, almost humorous back and forth banter. You get that in The Princess Bride, and I think it's totally unique.
I think you are onto something here, and the main takeaway here might be that the sum of the parts of this flick is way greater than the individual pieces. Like everything is just this great alchemy. It's like a great meal, right? You don't have necessarily the top end ingredients, but you put it together in a certain way. You cook it for a certain time with a little bit of love, and it comes out perfectly. And I think that's why it's so hard to duplicate, right? And this is definitely a flick where I think they at one point they floated a remake, and everyone was like, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, that just kill that shit real quick. Maybe it's a little ironic. I think the year this came out, the other flick that reviewed just as well as this one with test audiences was Back to the Future. And I think both of those films have probably held the test of time really well. And again, the framing device works a little bit better just because you have Peter Falk and Fred Savage. This isn't two random actors. This is kind of, you know, you call it peak Fred Savage. Maybe directing was a peak for him. But I mean, Peter Falk kind of doing his Columbo thing, you know, all that. It's just, and it works throughout the film to break things up when you need to, right? Just when it gets a little bit too obvious or too stupid, boom, here comes the kid in to break it up, and it works well. I think whether you're a kid, because if you're a kid, you relate to the kid, and if you're an adult, you relate to reading a story to your kid when you know you're an adult and he keeps breaking in with it. So I think it's a very clever narrative device there. And then give this flick credit. We meet all of the main characters in the first 7 minutes, and that's including the credit sequence. This thing moves. Wesley and Buttercup meet, fall in love, and he leaves to go seek a fortune in a shade under 2 minutes. I enjoy the hell out of that. It's like Spaceballs where they have the quick one, you know, we're gonna do the Spaceballs wedding, you know, do you.
yeah.
They move through everything, bang, bang, bang. You meet everybody, but you understand exactly what you need to, right? When they need to give a little bit of exposition, they do it in a very interesting way, usually with swordplay or a big giant guy saying it with a smile, whatever way they got to do it. They make everything very interesting here. So I think that's one of the more impressive parts of the film is how quick we get into it and we're just immersed in the world. We don't even have that many questions. Even the fact that like Vizzini is trying to set this up as it's a whole frame job, that's nice, but it doesn't even really matter. It's nice that there's underlying motive. The story is well written, but I never really care about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Like this movie's fucking detailed, man.
And we don't really, you know, even need the details. I think that's the beautiful part of it. You just get kind of right into it. You know,
It keeps moving, man. It makes
they're in
it.
love. You know, they set up obviously the you know, as you wish. That's pretty much the main part you have to set up here.
Like, I mean, it was a really well-paced movie. It wasn't rushing it, but it was enough. You didn't need any more. You already got it. You get it. You can get elaborated on stories if you want to sit there and listen to that story forever, but you get it. You know, it was enough to get it. And I like that. That's why this movie moved the way it did, you know.
In Soup, I maybe think maybe you have more experience, maybe Jamie G you do, but has talking to lost circus performers ever ended well for you or anyone ever?
Not, you know what the thing is, I don't know, I don't know that I have circus performers as much, but I have talked to my fair share of carnies, you know. I mean,
Carnies, I like carnies and circus performer are different folk.
yeah, definitely different, man. So I hate to confuse the two. I don't mean to do that if I'm, you know, whatever. But that's the closest thing I got to, you know, to a circus performer around here that I've occasionally run
So
into.
consider yourself lucky, I think, is what you're saying there. Then basically,
Yeah, probably, man. You know, I mean, hey, man, circus performers might be really cool people, dude. I would like to hang out in the circus. I mean, I'd go drinking with circus performers, man. Why not?
oh, I think yeah, again, I think yeah, within reason. But when you find them randomly on the road, I don't know if you know you're one on horseback. I don't know if you're stopping for three of them, especially one's a giant.
I wouldn't stop for three anybody if I'm one person on a.
One thing that they did really well is when you get on the ship and you meet Inigo and Fezzik, you realize right away these are, you know, they're not really bad guys, right? Like they're just good guys in a bad spot. Meanwhile, they make it very, very clear Vizzini is he's the bad dude, right? He's going to kill Buttercup. He doesn't care. He is ruthless. So I thought they did a really good job of that, and that makes it way easier later on when, of course, you know, they team up with Wesley.
I think one of the things that separates this film from many is all those they do a great job building the tension of these big action sequences, but then you get this witty banter and this incredible dialogue, and it softens the overarching thing, right? Like even that first one between Inigo and Wesley, it's like they're gonna fight to the death, right? And in the end, you realize they didn't because Wesley had such a level of respect for Inigo, he didn't want to kill him. But like that banter and that witty exchange back and forth softens the severity of all of it and makes it so much comforting and so much interesting that you cannot wait to see what happens. And I think that's so special. And not every film does this. This is really unique that they nailed it, and they did. Big fan of that. Like I'm a big fan of that.
Oh, I am a very big fan. Again, all the setting up, but some of the subtle jokes.
Look, he's right on top of us. Wonder if he's using the same wind we are using.
I don't know why, but that line itself just always kind of cracks me up. And shout out the little eel bit because they at least made those eels for that time period. I think they were going for the Jaws thing a little bit, but it worked. In the book, that's the one thing I know. It's like sharks, and then Vizzini throws blood in the water, and it's not eels in the book. But I thought eels were kind of cool, and I thought they made them look good here.
I thought they looked awesome, dude. And also this was the perfect way to introduce the fact that you're going to be watching this movie and seeing the story unravel, but then go back to that scene with Fred Savage as a kid rocking the Walter Payton jersey and having his grandpa read him this book, right? So I thought that was the perfect intensity to show that they're going to go back and forth and kind of plant the seed that you're going to get that the rest of the movie. And the one thing I'll say, Mills, they did not overuse it. They did not make it weird. They did not make it uncomfortable, and they did not overuse the fact that they had the ability to go back and forth between both dimensions. They nailed it, dude. It would have been taking the shortcut here. It wouldn't have been it would have been easy to overuse it. I thought they just absolutely brilliantly did just enough here to go back and forth. And it's an underrated thing, but it's important.
And speaking of overuse, when we get to the cliffs of insanity, you get again a lot of inconceivable drops by Vizzini, and then you get Fezzik having to carry everybody up that cliff face. That's kind of wild, right? I mean, they give a little harness joint. He's just going to carry everybody up there. I think it was good, but my favorite part is obviously Inigo calling out Vizzini for his use of inconceivable, where he's like, yeah.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable. You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
And that's just one of my favorite meta jokes. They got a very well-written flick.
Yeah, man, for sure, dude. Cliffs of Insanity, yeah. I mean, I love like I said, I like the visuals a lot in this movie, and just like the landscapes and whatnot are spot on, man, for what you would think if you were creating it in your head as if you were reading it on your own, you know. So I think that they did a really good job depicting that, you know.
Yeah, kind of an Atlantis alert here. Ironic. The filmmakers, because of the low budget, the clips of insanity where Fezzik's scaring everyone and climbing up, and Wesley's trying to chase them, and they called that like one of their least favorite scenes because like that wasn't the way they wanted it. Like I
You
thought
can
it worked
tell it
really
doesn't.
well.
Yeah, I think so. I just like the way it looks because it doesn't have to be.
It's sped up a little bit, you know what I mean? It's a little janky, but it's not that bad. It works well enough, I think.
It works really well, but it
Yeah.
also the way they film it with how the story's moving, they kind of foreshadowed it with the boat in the background with the who could that be, right? And then it's probably nobody. And then two, he's gaining on us, he's gaining on us. It added to the tension that they were trying to create. I think it's brilliant how they did it because it added to the tension and create these big, huge moments, but then the moments are softened by this incredible witty back and forth banter and dialogue that makes you fall in love with all these characters. So really, really smart done. They took a swing there and it worked. So it's not really a swing because it worked, but I think it was kind of a big swing because you could have just did these scenes with like intensity, right? And they decided not to do that. I think it worked really well.
They cut the rope, whatever Viziti, Fezzik take off with Buttercup. They leave Inigo there. He can't help himself, right? He's like, oh yeah, I'll bring you up here. That's fine. We'll fight fair. Oh, you can rest. He tells the dude the story. Obviously, we learned about the six-fingered man. He literally just gives his sword to the Dread Pirate Roberts we know as Wesley here. Just here, oh, check out my sword. The honor they have, it makes it very easy for when there's the side change later. That's not a problem. But the sword fight itself, I was very impressed with. This is one of the cool things to read. Originally, it was about a minute, and they tried really hard. Rob Reiner, really made him kick ass, and it wound up being about 3 minutes long. Very, very well done, old school. It wouldn't hold up to his scrutiny now, but there's no CGI. Apparently, the only time they use stunt doubles is when Wesley does that little flip off the little bar thing there. And I think that really adds to it, right? Like you talk about the banter when they're doing the scene, the fact that you can see their faces, they're going up and down the stairs, the little bit where they both reveal that they're fighting with their offhand. All of that makes it classic. Yes, it's not as exciting now as something, at the end of a Marvel movie or something like that, but I thought it was really well done, and I was surprised how well it held up, all things considered. Soup, what do you think, man, about the fight here with Inigo and Wesley, the Dread Pirate Roberts?
I thought it was awesome. It all started out with honor. It was no dirty work, man. Even when he was still on the rope, he's
A
like,
lot of honor in this movie, and I'm there for
lot of
all
honor,
of it.
dude. And that's something, it's rare these days. So I appreciate that, so I liked and respected that right away. And I always have, I think. Maybe I just didn't look at it the same when I was younger. Not that I didn't like it when I was younger. I just think I have a different view on it now. But yeah, so that's kind of important, man. And then the whole fight, I mean, it's cool, dude. It's a good enough fight scene to where it doesn't need to get super violent. But it was skilled, it was definitely very cool. The thing, what you were talking about, the armbar
The
thing.
vault, yeah, a little vault.
That thing is, you could tell that was that wasn't like a natural thing that was there. That was my only thing, was like, they might have been able to do a little bit better making that look like realistic. But aside from that, dude, the rest of it, like, you could tell some of that other shit, rock shapes and formation.
They worked some behind the back joints in, a little like the one joint he tosses the sword up in the air and catches it. There were some cool flourishes.
Oh yeah, the now were very, very well done, man. Left hand to right hand, I mean, it was great. I think it was a great scene, dude. And I think it ended well. And with the whole,
and it makes sense that they have honor enough for each other that, like, A, he would leave him alive, and then B, they would team up later.
Couldn't kill an artist.
100%. That's what makes it so cool.
What do you say? I'd rather kill it. I'd rather smash the stained glass window or something like that.
Right, they kill a work of art like you. Yeah. Very, very, very well done. And then you get the second, call it a feat of strength or what have you, versus Fezzik. He throws the rock like, I could have hit you if you wanted.
Right.
This was more difficult to pull off than you think, because look at how big Andre the Giant is. Even when he tries to wrap him up, he can't even fit his arms around him. So I guess jumping off from the high point, like he gets a high ground just as a sleeper hold, it's not really that dramatic, but I can't see what else they really could have done.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it
big dude.
Right, big dude.
Jamie G, any ideas? Any other way that he could have subdued Fezzik?
None. I mean,
Well,
short of
drinking contest maybe, but we didn't have time for that. That's
no,
probably the only way. If he had
short.
built up, an Idacane tolerance, spoiler alert here, perhaps he could have built up some sort of wine. That's about all I could
That
go
would have
with.
been a ton of fun. But
We would need an extended cut of the extended cut of the extended cut for that probably because it would have been about an hour drinking.
Yeah.
I like how they did this though with him first throwing, setting it up where it's like, oh, he's not very sportsmanlike. Then he throws the giant boulder, which could have just killed you, and you realize how powerful he is then as he throws it and explodes on the other rock. And then it's like, oh, I wanted to kill you being more powerful. Just like Inigo wanted to kill him using his left hand to get, because that's what he needed. I just think it's so cool the continuation here in the writing, which makes, again, these battles are so friendly for the battles that they are. They're having a full-blown conversation. How so? Well, really, that makes
Yeah,
you feel
right.
it's just so cool to see, and I think it's special, and it's something that not a lot of writers and producers and content makers have done, and it just works so well, especially considering how large, how dominant Andre the Giant was. I mean, he was literally the eighth wonder of the world. He was a big deal, dude. And to see him in this movie doing all that with great actors and actresses is awesome. And I thought they used him perfectly.
The irony of that is when they first started making this, they couldn't really afford him, and Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted the gig as Fezzik. And then by the time it actually got made, they couldn't afford Arnold, and they wound up being able to get Andre the Giant.
Wow. It probably worked out. I mean, Arnold would have been awesome, but it probably worked out even better getting
Yeah,
Andre the
Andre
Giant.
the Giant, just such good comedic timing. You could tell he
Yes.
had very good chemistry for the rest of the class with the rest of the cast. And maybe the not ironic choice, but the other choice was actually, uh, you might know him as the dude who played Jaws and James Bond, but you probably know him better as the big boss dude from Happy Gilmore. Like the big crazy dude who used to be happy,
Gets
who
the
gets
nail in the
the
head.
nail in his head. He was the one of the other dudes they considered for the role as Fezzik because they were just looking for a big ass dude.
I think Arnold would have been pretty good, man. I think Arnold probably could have
It
done
could
it.
have worked. Like
Yeah, it could
that's
have worked
one
with
of the
Arnold.
only dudes who could have pulled it off. I don't know who else could have, honestly. Like they told Liam Neeson, who's apparently 6'4". Like I guess that's why Taken works. Like they were like, "Oh, you're not big enough." It's like Game of Thrones. They couldn't find the right dude to play the Mountain until like the third season finally.
Arnold could be funny like that too, with the riddle or the rhyming and shit. I feel like he could have done that.
Yeah, probably. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he was decent in Airplane with the comedic shit, and
Yeah.
in A Game of Death with some of the action shit. But yeah, probably not. Top notch. I don't know who else it could be, but obviously glad to leave him alive. And then we get to the Battle of Wits with Vizzini, and I mean they went out apparently to Danny DeVito for this, but Wallace Shawn. I mean, this is iconic, right? I mean, this is. I don't
Yeah.
want to say it's the scene in the flick, but it's so good. He goes so deep into it. And Jamie G is a poker player. You probably have to appreciate what Vizzini goes through here, right?
Yeah, this is such a
What level are you at? Are you the level? Do you know that I know that you know that I know that you know that I know that
yeah.
you know?
High level, and it's so funny that in the end he thinks by cheating he wins. And then the whole time, Mills, he didn't see the pocket aces, right? And he got crushed by that. He was worried
He didn't
about
even
the
know the stakes of the
worried about
game
the
he was
flush.
playing. That's the worst.
He
Wesley never
really did.
says he poisoned just one.
Right. I thought this was great writing. And also an underrated thing here. It's the first time we get to see the princess and Roberts here, Wesley really get re-engaged. That first kind of back exchange where she was like, "Oh, so it was his glass the whole time," and he tells him, Actually, no, I've been training for the last two years or whatever it was." So I thought that was really cool. The first time we kind of see them two start to communicate.
And just the dialogue in this scene, the way that it's done,
Yeah.
this is, pretty much the big showcase from Wallace Shawn. But I think in some ways, because of course he's the only villain that actually dies, other than Rugen the Six Fingered Man, it's so well done, right? Because this scene kind of has a lot of the biggest stakes here. and just the way he goes through it is just so great, man. I just want to make sure we don't sell him short because yeah, this is it for the flick for him after this. But this scene, he captivates you, right? This goes on for like 5 to 7 minutes, and you're just captivated by this dude trying to figure out where the poison is.
And they sprinkled it in really and gave you kind of a foreshadowing throughout some of the opening scenes with when you first realize this, the princess has been kidnapped, and then the scene with the eels where he starts to kind of show his mental dominance and how smart he is. And then as he deals with it, I thought one of the more underrated things is the scene where Andre the Giant's carrying all three of them up, and he's sitting there face to face with Andre as he's carrying him. And he's like, I'll accept no, Andre the Giant's like, well, he's only himself and I'm carrying three. That might be why he's fast, and he's like, I'll accept no excuses, only your job. It's so great because he's face to face. I thought all of
Yeah, they
that.
set him up to be the worst. Like really, like they
Yes.
make it very clear. Like Vicini is the worst.
It's a fucking
100%.
dick, dude. Yeah, man.
100%, but all of that led to just how powerful that final scene was with the poison. And without all of that framework leading up, I don't know that you would have had the moment that you had with that because they planted all those seeds. So again, just another reason why this is such a good film that kind of doesn't show up on the scoreboard, but all those little things they did to get to that point with this character at the end didn't really matter, but he was pretty awesome, and I think set the tone and something memorable for people who watch the movie.
And perfect because Vicini's so confident to the end, smiling, 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 falls over dead. Which bam, bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Just it's over, just like that. Just very well done.
Dude, you don't cross a Sicilian, dude. You don't cross a Sicilian. Spoken as a
That is on the line.
the only tolerance to that arcane powder I can come up with is your tolerance to those California Cabernets. After that, obviously, Wesley and Buttercup reconnect. We find out a little bit of the backstory about the Dread Pirate Roberts, and we go into the fire swamp here. I have no real problem with any of this. I think it's a very interesting way to get out a lot of exposition, right? You had to explain what happened to Wesley. I thought this was a cool way to do it. I like the concept that the Dread Pirate Roberts is really, more of an idea than a person. I thought all that was cool, well executed. Soup before, we get to the overly sized rodents. What do you think about the way they kind of set this up? Yeah, kind of a nice way to deal with a big exposition dump, right?
Yeah, rodents of unusual size, man. I don't think they exist, but yes, definitely a very good. It was quick. It was easy. Again, with this movie, it's just they find
everything's easy, right? That's the cool thing about this movie. Everything is
sense,
easy.
and you don't boom doesn't drag. Perfect job at portraying that. And explaining, and you could go on and on with backstories and whatnot. That might be cool. That could be a movie of its own. Wesley turns into the Dread Pirate Roberts. Boom, that's a movie, dude. If you wanted to make a branch off.
I'd watch that cartoon, dude. Like that, like they had like the Pirates of Dark Water back in the day. It'd be a cool cartoon. I'd watch.
Yeah, it would be cool, man. So anyway, but yeah, you don't need all that for this. Straightforward, man. So I think it was brilliantly done, man.
Do you think that when Wesley took over as the Dread Pirate Roberts, that he actually really killed a lot of people? He kind of fakes it. Like, I think he's just acting here, right? For the most part, I think the whole point of the Dread Pirate Roberts is they just scare the shit out of people, so they get whatever they want, and then they tell people that
you got to play the
people.
role. I mean, I'm sure if he had to kill somebody, he probably would, but but I don't think he's out there as a mass murderer. I think you got to play the role. You got to put fear into people, and you're living up to that. You're playing the role, man. You got to
right, which is excellent setup, really, for the very end of the movie where he uses that to beat the villain. Like he can't actually fight him, but he just uses the ability he learned to sell the threat to win the whole thing. And honestly, this is a very funny flick. But dude, when Buttercup just pushes him down the hill, and then he's like, "As you wish," and she's like, "Oh my god, what did I do?" And she throws herself down the hill. That might be the funniest moment, dude. The way she just throws herself down the hill after him, I don't know why, but that always kills me.
Me too, but that's one of those things that kind of bothers me a little bit because why? Like, I think any normal person would probably try to like at least see if they could jog down there or like crawl down,
Right, that's why I pretend I'm in a Mel Brooks movie.
other than just take it and roll with it. But yeah, I mean,
In a Mel Brooks movie, that makes perfect sense, right? So
it
that's why I just
does.
suspend
Sure,
my,
sure. Yeah,
like, I just pretended Spaceballs or something, and that's why she did it.
home in the desert, dude.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. But that level of, you can even see, and I think they must do it deliberately. If you watch, like, you can tell that it's stuntmen, even. They don't even really try that hard to find it. Again, maybe a little bit of the budget thing, but I like that. It adds that kind of just old school, like, we don't care. We're willing to stand on the story. Obviously, everything until we get to like kind of the rodents of unusual sizes is very fun. I like when they go down the little quicksand thing, but I think it's probably the rodents that stand out. And honestly, I didn't remember this being as long when I first saw it. Like these are people, like little people in outfits. The way they do it, it's not animatronic or anything, but that
Oh,
was kind of
really?
vicious, right? They got up on it a little bit. It was more of a fight than I remembered.
Yeah, it was, man. It was not an easy, it wasn't super smooth, man. You
Right, I
got
thought they were on screen for 30 seconds or something. It was a good solid like 3 minutes or so where they had a fight with them.
Yeah, 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 and I think that was good for the movie, man. Everything shouldn't be that easy. You got to throw a little bit of fear in there, So I think that's one of the things that kind of like, in a way, with everything else, just works to move it along the way it did.
Yeah, sometimes we probably undersell some of the one-liners here, like when they're gonna
Yeah.
walk into the fire joint.
A few more steps and we'll be safe in the fire swamp.
We'll never survive.
Nonsense. You're only saying that because no one ever has.
Right. Oh, yeah. Some of the one-liners are great, dude. I mean, it's
Yeah, like
classic.
you mentioned, like the ROUSs, they don't exist, and then boom, just jumps right on them. Just very good editing and writing right there. Surrender? Oh, you want to surrender to me? All right, I'll accept.
Right. Yep.
And the fact that they didn't go crazy with how it looked. That fire scene looked great, and they immediately take your attention to him putting out the fire on her dress. And it works so well because he's the ultimate gentleman. He's Wesley, the farm boy. He's perfect, right? And then you get to the quicksand scene, and I thought the quicksand scene really, again, they didn't use any crazy computer graphics here. Everything seems to work, and it's great when they come out and they're covered in sand. Like, it was like Ace Ventura coming out of the rhino's ass, and Ace Ventura: Nature Calls, right? And it's like a little hot in a little warm in these rhinos, dude. And he's coming out. It's the same thing with the sand. And then I thought the rodents of unusual size, the timing was perfect. And it looked real. It was a big battle, dude. How he killed them was real. But one thing I appreciate is in the sense of adventure, they allowed us to get comfortable with that territory, with that environment in the woods, because there was three things that they had to overcome, right? There was the fire pit that came uncontrollable, there was the quicksand, and then there was the rodents of unusual size. So to Mills's point, it took a while, yeah, but we covered three things. But I felt so comfortable with those woods, knowing that like they hyped it up to where there was this legend around why you didn't enter. And by the time they finished conquering those three things, you realize, yeah, that's why you don't enter. And I thought it was really well done how they did that. But they did that to a certain degree on every major battle. It's really impressive. 100%.
How about the kind of end scene there where they get surrounded? I thought they did a good enough job because it kind of made Wesley out to be invincible. And they're like, all right, dude, you're really surrounded. You get the kind of cool, like, oh, yeah, you'll surrender line. But then we get the reveal of the six-fingered man. Again, it's not groundbreaking storytelling, but you can just see where the train on the tracks is going. So I thought it was, pretty well done. If Wesley was going to get, captured, I guess they did a good enough job of, justifying it all.
Yeah, agreed. I definitely definitely brought a couple things together, man.
Right, he had to make the story work. He had to get captured somehow. So this was the
Right.
the
Oh,
way
yeah.
they chose. And then they put him in the pit of despair. And this is probably for me, I'd say the weakest stretch of the flick. You kind of lean into more like the idea that Humperdinck is trying to set up this conflict between the kingdoms, and none of us really care. Buttercup is sad, but we know that Wesley's alive, so we don't really care. It's just kind of setting it up until we get Inigo and Fezzik teaming back up again. What do you think is better? Jamie G, will ask you, Fezzik trying to get Inigo sober here, or Marty trying to get Doc Brown sober in Back to the Future 3?
It's really tough, especially knowing all the outside information you know about Andre the Giant, basically the world's greatest alcoholic. I love you, Andre the Giant. It was awesome. Go look up how much that dude can drink. It is a legend. But I gotta go with Doc Brown and Marty here. Marty McFly with Back to the Future. I just, to me, that was more fun. I gotta go there. But
Oh, because he
both
gives a
very
little
good.
wake up juice, dude. Some wake up juice. That wake up
100%.
juice is pretty nasty. I will say that in Back to the
I'm
Future 3.
foreshadowing, but I think I'll need a little wake up juice tomorrow morning.
Do you even still get hangovers?
Well, normally no, but I drank about 2 gallons of Mamawana this afternoon.
Yeah, I don't even think that's foreshadowing. I think that's just pretty much a set law. I guess everything with the idea of the machine, Rugen coming in, he's going to suck the gears out of him. I thought was pretty cool. I don't really have any problem with it. It's just kind of the setup for the whole thing. And I like the way the flick does shit, like Pit of Despair, Cliffs of Insanity, Fire Swamp. They don't mess around, and it helps the follow, right? They make everything really easy to understand. It's not some like unpronounceable words in the Star Wars galaxy or something. It's like, no, here we're going to the land where we have really, really big rodents. Like they make it really easy to understand. I think there is something probably to be said for it. And even after, all right, they bring him back, right? They finally they get him. All right, we're gonna bring him into Miracle Max. We're gonna bring him back. But is this maybe the best Billy Crystal ever? Just because it's so limited, but his shtick works just so well here. Jamie G, what do you think, man? How is Billy Crystal here as Miracle Max?
He's incredible. I love Billy Crystal in a lot of things, but this was Billy Crystal that already figured out he was great, and you're getting the benefit of all that confidence and all that exuberance coming into this role, and it's so awesome. I'm with you, dude. I think there's a case to make this maybe possibly the best Billy Crystal role, and people will fight you on it all day and long, and that's fine. But because of all the confidence, all the exuberance, and the fact that it's so funny and so fitting.
Mostly dead. He's slightly alive. Now, all dead. Well, with all dead, there's usually only one thing that you can do.
What's that?
Go through his clothes and look for loose change.
How about yourself, Soup, man? How'd you like the Billy Crystal here?
Oh, it was great. It's classic Billy Crystal, dude. I mean, yeah, definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite, of his roles, man. And you got Carol Kane in there with you too, dude. Come on, how can you go wrong, man? I mean, it's just a great combo, dude. But yeah,
Big Carol Kane fan as well, and I think they are perfectly deployed here. They don't go on for too long. Yeah, apparently this is a spot where they broke some of the guys on camera and they had to go off screen because Billy Crystal got to improvise a lot of this. I think most of it is very funny, but one thing I'm not sure if it's meant to be funny or real. Soup. What's up with the MLT, brother? You're the man in the back of the house. What is up with the mutton, lettuce, tomato? Is that really something you can eat?
it's absolutely something you can eat, dude. I want to know what bread you're putting that thing on. Yeah, I would probably
Brad might be really doing a lot of work in that sandwich.
sourdough is gonna have to do a lot of work, dude. But all right, so yeah, mutton is sheep. It's mature sheep, so it's lamb. It's not lamb. It's mature sheep. Very, very, very gamey meat, dude. Very gamey. It's known for its extra gaminess. But mutton, dude. If you're eating mutton, man, I don't know if I would go with the MLT. I like mine with a little C. I like some cheese on there, man. But when I think about mutton, dude, I'm thinking about a Miracle Max mutton melt. I think something like that might be nice. So we'll see what I can do, man. I'm gonna play around with some mutton, dude. Maybe I bring it back. I don't even know if I can get it here. I don't know if you can get it. I don't know. Like that might be something you can't get in the U.S. I don't know. Never tried. With some mutton, dude. I'm looking into it, man. I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, somewhere in there's the dentist, Mac and Dennis Manhunters gag about there being a
Yeah,
monkey
mutton
meat,
guy.
but it
I get a
being
mutton guy, dude.
but it being mutton meat instead of monkey meat. But you
I know they
gotta
grow
do what you
sheep
gotta do.
here. I mean, they definitely grow sheep here. I just don't know that they, I mean, you can get lamb, so why can't you get mutton? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll look into it.
And I would assume that because y'all watched this more when you were young wee boys. How about the concept that he was mostly dead? He's not all the way dead, but mostly dead. I always thought that was at least a little bit interesting. They had to give some sort of justification as to why Wesley would live. JBG, what do you think? Like, did this work any differently for you now as when you were a kid or anything like that? This is pretty much the only part of the flick that's just basically magic. I mean, maybe it's just chocolate, right? They just, chocolate will wait the net. Is that what they're going for? Not 100% sure, but I think it was kind of cool the way they did this. Obviously, like you knew he was going to live, but he's just mostly dead.
They took the perfect amount of what if, mystery, and wonder, and they made it real. And they did it in kind of a Mel Brooks-ish fashion that I thought that just worked with the whole vibe and the overall feel of the movie up to this point. And this is kind of late in the movie when you get to there. And I love this, Mills, because it's not anything way out of space and it's not anything that's really hard to recognize or look back on and be like, there's no way. It's just enough, but it's also that kind of tongue-in-cheek Mel Brooks humor that I think worked in that time frame. But as we learned when we did Spaceballs, still works today and probably will always work. But a big fan of this, and I thought it worked well. Again, softening Mills, again, softening such an intense scene. This is really the worst it gets for Wesley with the torture and the spreading and all that stuff. And it softens all that intensity here kind of at the end. So they found a way to do it in every stretch, and it's just perfect.
Maybe the most Mel Brooksian thing is the idea that Max finally agrees to help just because it'll humiliate Humperdinck, and then that gets his wife excited as too. I feel that's at least Mel Brooks Spaceballs the end. But dude, everything up on the castle wall when Wesley kind of comes to is just fantastic.
Who are you? Are we enemies? Why am I on this wall? Where's Buttercup?
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
That is just so brilliant, both from an acting standpoint, a writing standpoint, everything about that. And then that whole bit where they're up there, where Cary Elwes has to just play like he can't really control his shit, so his neck's just flopping all over. Dude, he does amazing acting there, right? Like it looks like his neck is made of paper mache or something. It's just flopping around like nothing. I always am very impressed by that bit
Yeah,
of physical
it's
comedy.
super impressive, dude. He's all over the place. I do it, but I probably throw myself out of whack.
Right, the
here.
one bit where they want him to look over the wall, so he like puts his head backwards on it or whatever, or upside down. It's just so good.
It's impressive, man. That's the best, like, either I'm drunk or, like Ace Ventura when he gets shot with all the darts and he's trying to, like, it's one of those here, dude. And I think it's phenomenal. Be ahead of its time for Cary Elwes. Shout out Cary Elwes and Saw. He did some things, but ahead of his time.
The way he just manipulates his body there, it makes you believe it completely. And then even just a little bit there when they finally charge the gate, nice setup. Well, of course, not everyone just has a Holocaust robe, and you should tell them if you have a wheelbarrow. Obviously, Jamie G, right? If you have a wheelbarrow, you list that in the assets going in. But when they pull that off and they finally corner the gatekeeper,
give us the gate key.
I have no gate key. Basic. 30 arms off. Oh, you mean this gate key?
That's just the kind of solid comedy stuff we get here. And then we get the big showdown, and Ego finally gets to go against the man who took his father's life. It's so great, right? You have this epic moment. They meet in the hallway. He gives the line.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
And then dude just books off, running away the other direction. How cool is that, dude? I mean, obviously we'll get to how it all ends up, but that's a nice subversion of the trope, right? You think they're gonna have this big sword fight in the hallway, and nope, dude just books it.
And shout out to the actor, shout out to the writer, but they made it seem like such an epic thing. He's been searching for it his whole life, 40 years or whatever it is, right? And it's going to be the moment he's waited for his whole life. And this is also kind of Mel Brooks-ish. They build it up so it's so big, and he finally gets the moment he's waiting for 40 years, and then nothing. He runs, right? Totally Mel Brooks. And I thought it worked again to soften the intensity of the movie. Every time this movie went into super intense mode, they softened it, but they did it in a way that didn't just PG this thing, but made it really interesting and really cool and allowed it to hold up. That's not easy to do.
And it's probably the one point where it's a little bit magic. Obviously, Wesley coming back from the dead, but he kind of died from magic, so I don't count that as much. Being brought back here, because Inigo's playing it straight, and then he walks around the corner, dude, hits him in the gut with the throwing knife. In the book, it's actually even crazier. Like he actually cuts dude's heart out and tries to hold it in his hand as he dies, because that's how he felt his heart killed when he was a pops, or when his pops died. Like that's how he felt. So that's probably the part that matches up the least bit from the book. But I think this is plenty gangster, right? Like for me, this is definitely enough revenge for Inigo, and I can buy that he survives one more shot to the gut. I think he had enough brandy in him. What do you think, Suit Man? Can you believe Inigo survived this one, got the job done?
Yeah, 100%, dude. There's no way he was not going to survive this one and get the job done, dude. And his will to do it, I mean, you got
Right
that.
after 20 years, right? Like the dude even calls him out, like, "Oh, that's gonna be it. Like after all this time, you're just gonna that's it. That's all you got." Can't say
Right.
that.
Nah, he ain't going out like that, dude. So I think that was a really cool. Again, that's one of the more famous lines from the movie, and I've
Oh,
seen
and
TV.
Manny, each time delivering it louder, right? Like she gets up, gets a little more confident, a little more confident, a little more confident. And then we get the kind of, it's not quite a denouement, but it's not the climax we thought we were going to get. Buttercup's going to commit suicide. She realized Wesley's laying in bed in the room. Humperdinck comes in, and then Wesley bluffs him. This is a very interesting choice for the flick. They could have gone with another sword fight. I think a lesser film probably lets him have the miracle recovery. They left it open. Instead, he does just enough to stand up, gives him some great lines, and gets it done with his wits. I really enjoyed that ending. Again, I think it was less is more sometimes really worked for me. Soup, what do you think? Do you like the way they chose to end this instead of having a big conflict between Humperdinck and Wesley? They just kind of let Wesley use his wits.
Yeah, I kind of like it, man. I mean, because it would have. There's been some other sword fighting and whatnot, so it might have gotten redundant if they just decided to end it like that anyway. But in a rated R version or something like that might have been cool, but I think, or even maybe not, even maybe still this might have been a play. But yeah, the whole battle of wits, the whole to the pain. No, not to the death. We fight to the pain. And he got him right there with it. And then you could just see him just cowering the entire time. Because he's not really exactly just kind of like, you could tell he's afraid.
And they made him competent, right? Like he could follow people, he knew shit, but he was just really weak willed.
I love that because it showed that no matter what, despite all his greatness, he was still so weak and he didn't have the one thing Wesley had. And I think that was the abstract that they wanted to show was the difference between what Wesley had and what Humperdinck had, and it was totally different, right? It was bipolar, and I think that's kind of the underarching theme of the movie without really saying anything about it.
Oh, there's no real better way to put it than what he tells Buttercup when Humperdinck's like, "Yo,
Please believe I will be dead by morning.
Please consider me as an alternative to suicide.
not setting the bar particularly high there, probably." Overall, I found it to be a very satisfactory ending. I like how Fessa kind of shows up at the end with the four white horses. Obviously, it's a very symbolic way to go out on it. And it even Ingo's like, "Hey, dude, you finally did something." He's like, "I won't let it go to my head."
Yeah, I thought the old folks are really cool too, man. They were like, "Oh, that was a very strange wedding." That's kind of cool. I kind of appreciated that.
Like the priest who doesn't even know what happened. He's just happy he got a kiss on the cheek.
Nope. Yep.
Definitely not a legitimate wedding, I would think. And unfortunately, it kind of sucked because Andre the Giant, after all the wrestling career and his problems, like he couldn't even really film all that. Like he didn't actually catch the people. That was a little disappointing because I feel
Yeah.
like he could have.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was, you research about Andre the Giant, it's tragic about how he felt and just how much pain it was. And also the world wasn't design for people of his size. I mean, he wrestled for years in Japan and had to fly to Japan. We're talking about a long, long trip, booking 2 or 3 seats himself because he just didn't fit. Not an easy lifestyle for a guy that's on the go all the time. And unfortunately, his body caught up to him, and we only started to get what we see now. Imagine if it was the same medicine and advancements of somebody like The Rock, who's enjoyed an incredible cinematic career, which has been awesome. Thank you, Rock. I love it. Like everything you've done has been really good. John Cena, same thing. But if Andre the Giant had that opportunity, I think we would have got a lot of good stuff out of him. But I'm thankful we got this.
Great sentiment. Yes, would have loved to have gotten much more from him. He really didn't get to do that much cinematically, and he had great comedic timing in this. That's what makes it so tragic. Kind of that you could see where it could go. Right, this day and age, he would have got at least 2 seasons of something on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah. Yeah, and dude,
I mean that in a good
they
way.
hit
Apple
though.
TV, you
They
give
hit though,
everybody
bro.
season 2. I appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. And you're going to get some good shit coming out of that. And hopefully you got some good shit coming out of our discussion of the flick. And we're going to start easing into the award tour first with something we like to call the Dream Team. Normally we're trying to kind of work different people into the cast, stuff like that. But honestly, this is so good here. We don't want to mess with it too much. So how about we do a little fun thing here? Originally, as we had mentioned, Arnold Schwarzenegger was considered for the role of Fezzik. So instead, let's go the reverse way. What if we could cast Andre the Giant in one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's roles? For me, the Soup and I already talked about this a little bit, so I don't want to oversell it. But my initial instinct was, dude, what if you put him in twins? You get Andre the Giant and Danny DeVito. That sounds like that could be a lot of fun.
Love it.
Obviously, huge size discrepancy as well, but they look a little bit more similar in the comedic timing they had. I think that would have been super cool. Or Andre the Giant as John Kimball in Kindergarten Cop. You see just the patience he has here. I think Andre the Giant working with the kindergarten kids would have been cool. I don't know if you could sell the idea that he was like an undercover cop. I don't know that Andre the Giant really could do undercover cop in any scenario there, but that's fine. And then, of course, throw him in Red Heat, maybe. Arnold Schwarzenegger famously didn't have the best chemistry with Jim Belushi. Perhaps Andre the Giant could as a big, giant Russian detective. Either y'all have any roles where you think Andre the Giant could have subbed in for Arnold?
Maybe fucking what's the one with the damn fucking shit?
Last Action Hero?
Thank you. Yes. How'd you know? Yeah, Last Action Hero, man.
Because that's kind of, again, that would have kind of fit, I think, right with where we're going for. Jamie G, any roles here where Andre the Giant could have subbed in? Could he be the Terminator or something else? What do you think?
Well, before we go down the Arnold path, Mills, I gotta say, man, I 2 things here. One, I just want you to picture Andre the Giant as Craig in Friday. How awesome would it have been for Andre the Giant to play
Debo, dude.
Smokey and have to have that one-on-one with Debo, but he's like an introverted,
Who
like
the hell's Debo? You got to get someone bigger than Andre the Giant to be Debo.
I think it would just be
Andre
so
would have
cool
to be
see him in that.
Debo, dude.
I think it would be so cool to see him in that. Outside of that, I think he would, obviously in I think about him as a role in Witcher, he could certainly do that. But Game of Thrones, The Mountain did a good job, but Andre the Giant would be so much better. And then last but not least, you basically sub him in for any Rock movie, but the Rock movie where he's in there with Sean William Scott, it's so funny.
Oh,
I
the
think
rundown?
the rundown, or I think that would have been perfect for Andre the Giant.
I actually like that. It's a flick for both Sean William Scott and The Rock. But yes, I think I agree with pretty much everything you said there. Soup, anything to add into the Andre the Giant area before we move on?
There's obviously a whole bunch of roles he could play, or he could have played over the years, given his, size. I don't want to say advantage, but his sculpted his physical attributes. Because of his physical attributes, he probably could have played a lot of roles that some other people couldn't have played. I would have liked to have seen him done more of those. As far as like trying to alter it out with something else, I don't know, man. You say about Arnold, I think he probably could have done. I know it's weird, but I think maybe Terminator might have been okay as far as like But you know, I mean, I don't want to get into. I don't know, man. With Arnold movies, I don't think he'd be. Yeah, yeah. I don't think he'd be great at like Commando. You know, but maybe something with
He
less.
perhaps could have made Raw Deal better. That was a very generic Arnold flick. Perhaps just switching that out could have made that one a good one.
But then there's other things, you know, that aren't Arnold movies that he probably could have been great at, you know, like certain
Oh,
roles
tons of stuff.
over the, you know, might have took it over the top. Imagine if he was the Goblin King instead of Bowie in the Labyrinth, you know, that might have been crazy.
Ooh, that is all right. Oh,
And we wouldn't have the soundtrack then, so that kind of might not have
oh,
worked.
do you throw him in as a the Harkonnen in Dune? Oh yeah. All right, so let's all
There's a
right, let's
lot
try
of
to move.
possibilities there, you
A
know.
lot of possibilities here for Andre the Giant. How about Carrie Elwes, man? I think we all really enjoyed him here. We really enjoyed him in the Robin Hood Men in Tights. If he was going to start like a new comedy thing for me, it was really obvious. I thought he should be Frank Drebin. The ironic part, somewhat, is that they're doing a reboot with Leslie Nielsen as Frank Drebin. I would argue that it should be Carrie Elwes. I think he is a deadpan. I thought he'd be a perfect Frank Drebin. Any y'all have any opinions on this?
All
I
right,
love it.
let's say we do a new police academy, man. Now he's not going to play the role of Gutenberg. He's not going to be Mahoney, but I really like him in the role of Lassard, Commandant Lassard. And I think Carrie would play a good Lassard, man. So that might
I
be.
like that Police Academy. I like that. Jamie G, what do you think, man? Naked Gun, other, what do you think?
He was awesome in this, and it just fit so perfect with the way he had the ability to just articulate the accent. He made it so everyone else that struggled to have kind of this formal accent to create the world in which all this took place outside of what we suspect was a suburb of Chicago in 1987. He did such a great job with that accent. I think that's what nailed this, but also his acting was incredible, and he had the look and the eyes and everything else. But one thing I would like to see him in that I think would be really cool is, I know that we've kind of tampered with things here and there, but I love the idea of Carrie Ells in a modern like gladiator type thing. Like we just saw it recently done, but I think he could really nail this, and it would be very cool. Whatever they do with him, I think he could. I think he could hit it. But also, if we did any other medieval time stuff, he obviously crushes there. So I'm a fan of that too.
Okay, okay. We got Peter Falk here. Obviously, he was Columbo. If we were going to recast Columbo, any options? Obviously, Danny DeVito comes to mind. And then I guess because I just watched The Old Man, I'm like, dude, Jeff Bridges, John Lithgow, John Goodman getting into the Lebowski of it all. I think those would all be great Columbos. And then I try and go deeper to like the white haired folk. Walton Goggins, he's got that white hair. Mike Myers. Have you seen Mike Myers? I think Mike Myers might be able to do it. And Mandy Patinkin. Obviously he's Inigo Montoya here, but the times have changed, dude. And Christopher Walken could be a Columbo. Liam Cunningham, he was Davos in Game of Thrones. He could be good. And if they were going to recast, go for like a young, cool Columbo, Soup, you'll like this one. Matty Matheson as Columbo.
I can see that for sure, man.
They're trying to go with some kind of weird, like, young
That's the thing.
Columbo.
You'd have to make it a comedy Columbo. I like him more in a comedy. You
Yeah,
probably,
you have to switch it up. They're trying to reboot it.
yeah, but you know what? For a serious Columbo, though, man, I think William Forsythe, man, would be a good Columbo, dude.
Ooh, William Forsythe. That's really good, dude. I like that one very much. That is excellent. Jamie G, let me put the pressure on you here. You have seen, all the things we like: Danny DeVito, Jeff Bridges, John Lithgow, John Goodman, Walton Goggins. Who would you like to see be the next Columbo? Give us one.
I'll tell you, I'll give you one here, Mills. And I've been, I was a big fan of trying to bring Gutenberg back, right? With Steve Gutenberg, big Ray Wise guy. I'm talking about, let's bring back Edward Norton, dude. Let's put Edward Norton in this role. I think he would absolutely
Edward Norton as Columbo. All right. That's incredibly specific, but I think I can live with it. And if we were going to have a little bit of fun, how about if we could cast Wallace Shawn on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Probably a lot of ways we could go. The first one that jumped out to me was this idea that Frank and the gang were watching The Princess Bride, and they start watching like, oh shit, this guy really knows Vizzini. He knows what he's doing. So instead of watching the whole flick, they just stop watching, and then Frank gets Wallace Shawn to come and play with him in Charlie McDonough's because he wants to finally win the game. I think that would be quite a bit of fun.
I see that working for sure. Yeah.
And then maybe if it was more petty, the Eagles won the Super Bowl recently. So let's say that some things happen at Patty's Pub during the Super Bowl parade, and the mayor of Philadelphia declares war on Patty's Pub. Of course, the mayor of Philadelphia in that case would be played by Wallace Shawn. That could be fun. But what if everything gets, everything is up is down, black is white, left is right, and Dennis is still paying alimony to Maureen Ponderosa. So he drags everybody out to the Ponderosa family reunion. He's going to stop those alimony payments, come hell or high water. But of course, while he's trying to do that, Frank's got to get stuff going on. So he teams up with Pondy, and they wind up in a prank war with the original Pondy, Bob Ponderosa, Bill's father, obviously played by Wallace Shawn. And then in my best effort here, in an effort to launder money from Wolf Cola, Frank has Patty sponsor a charity golf tournament at a local golf club. Dennis and Deacon do all kinds of shenanigans while they're working on the beverage carts, and Mac, of course, tries to hit a hole in one with one of the caddies. But the day is threatened when a giant rat causes havoc, and a health inspector who happens to be a McBoyle threatens to shut the whole thing down. So that leads to Charlie and Frank teaming up with a disgraced groundskeeper, obviously played by Wallace Shawn, in an attempt to save the day. I think that would be a lot of fun. So there's a couple of sunny. Anybody beat that?
I think I can beat that, dude. That's pretty fucking complex. I love it though, man. I'm ready.
It is more complex than that. It is slightly complex.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared to beat that, man. There's no beating that.
You can't beat that.
One for one replacement, simplest thing. If you took Robin Hood, like the way Kevin Costner played it in Prince of Thieves, and just replaced him with Inigo Montoya, how much better of a flick is that?
A lot, probably.
I think,
dude, I'd rather put imagine putting him in freaking Waterworld. We could have had a Waterworld, could have been something, dude. You put like one or two of these guys from this movie in Waterworld, it's probably way better.
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, and same thing with Cary Elwes himself there, man. What else is he like other than Robin Hood Men in Tights and Saw? I mean, what else is it? Like, I think he's good at this comedy, quick-witted kind of, where I would have liked to have seen more from him.
100%. That's exactly what I mean. Outside of him, if you were to give Inigo Montoya one more thing, imagine the scene in the second Lord of the Rings movie, the Two Towers, where they're waiting, they're looking for Gandalf, and then he kind of comes over the hill. Imagine instead of Gandalf and a whole army, it's just Inigo Montoya. He just walks out there like, I have my sword, I have Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die. I mean, that would be pretty classic. And even more classic, dude. How about at the end of Kill Bill, right? It happens, end of Kill Bill 2, the way we think. 1 week later, the bride walks into her crib, and the light turns on, and you just hear, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And he's Bill's illegitimate son.
Oh shit. Okay. We're on here, man.
Is that is that the Kill Bill sequel we've all been waiting for?
It might be, dude. It might be.
I mean, who else would have that good sword fighting ability?
And then you could go on to pair him with the daughter of the lady who got
It all plays out from there, I feel.
Yep. I'm a fan.
That's the dream team, baby. We do our best.
So you think you're sponge-worthy?
Yes, I think I'm sponge-worthy. I think I'm very sponge-worthy.
You know you're nuts with these sponges.
Run down your case for me again.
She said I wasn't sponge-worthy. Wouldn't waste a sponge on me.
Welcome to the award tour. First up, we got to honor Elaine Bennis, only the creator of the second greatest system of all time, and we pay homage by determining if our featured review is sponge-worthy. Mills, update us on our current sponge supply and tell us if you think, in fact, The Princess Bride is sponge-worthy.
I feel like I'm sitting pretty here for the first time ever. I think I'm up top on the sponge supply. I have 6.5 sponges. Jamie G, you have 5.5. Soup, you're at 2.5. Actually up to 3.0 because you won that one earlier. So you are creeping up in the world. Of course, to me, this is worthy. Jamie G, how about yourself? I'm expecting a worthy all the way around, but let's make it official.
100% this is sponge-worthy. I will gladly give a sponge to this. It's a classic. It holds up. It's awesome. It's good at all stages of life. Like, yeah, dude, it's a special flick.
Soup, make it official.
100%. Yeah, everything you guys just said. I mean, it's the fucking Princess Bride sponge-worthy for sure. Yeah.
The exact opposite of Wayne and Garth being like, we're not worthy. It's like, we are worthy. We are worthy.
I need you to open up your space wallets because it is time to give a grade to The Princess Bride. All hail President Scroob. We grade everything we watch on a scale of 0 to 100 space bucks. How many space bucks are you giving to The Princess Bride?
Princess Bride, dude. All I need is $5 for gas and tolls, man. I'm giving it $95, dude. It was that good, dude. It's The Princess Bride, man. You know, come on. Kidding me?
Ooh, that is in my wheelhouse. Jamie G, you are up next in the rotation. What is your grade here? Space bucks for The Princess Bride.
You know what's funny, man, is I wrote something on the paper and I was like, dude, this is way too egregious. This is way too heavy, like pro space bucks. And I was like, all right, it's made in 1987. I'll give it 87 space bucks. But after breaking it down the way we did, I just can't do that. I gotta go with my original gut and give it 94 space bucks. Yeah, it's Princess Bride, dude. It's pretty much awesome. There's really nothing wrong with this. It's 94 space bucks.
Are you trying to go late 90s on here and steal my sunshine? Because I had 94 space bucks. I feel like you just full railed me, dude. You just stole my sunshine.
No, we're all right there.
Don't steal my sunshine. Sorry, Mills. Before we get into what we're watching next here, it is time for the questions 3.
The Battle of Wits.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
3 questions. What if you get a question wrong? Then you are cast into the gorge of eternal peril.
Ask me the questions. I am not afraid.
And we shall watch and pray.
This is the question 3, and here's the deal. This week, I have written the 3 questions for Jamie G and the Soup Deucer. Both contestants are awarded 1 point for each correct answer. Whoever gets the most points is the champion. In the event of a tie, we have a tiebreaker question or questions. The winner gets a sponge, as do I, for writing the said questions. Gentlemen, if you wish to cross the bridge of death, you must answer me these questions 3. Jamie G, you are up first here. We're trying to give you options here, so you have at least a 25% chance of getting this one right. Which of these 4 movies was not directed by Rob Reiner, who directed The Princess Bride? Again, which of these 4 movies was not directed by Rob Reiner? Stand By Me, Parenthood, This Is Spinal Tap, A Few Good Men.
I'm going A Few Good Men. Or no. I'm going Parenthood. I'm going Parenthood.
Jamie G says B, Parenthood. Question 2. Which of the Vacation movies did Wallace Shawn appear in? Once again, you have a 25% chance of winning. A, Original Vacation. B, European Vacation. C, Christmas Vacation. D, Vegas Vacation.
Vacation.
Vacation. Original Vacation. He goes with answer A. And finally, question 3. As we record this, 169 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia have aired. Of those, how many were directed by Fred Savage? Once again, multiple choice here, 25%. A, 9 episodes. B, 18 episodes. C, 23 episodes. D, 30 episodes. So 9, 18, 23, 30. What do you think, Jamie G?
9, 18, 23, or 30.
Out of 169.
It's actually more than you think, so I don't think it's 9. I also don't think it's 30. So it was, what was it, 23 or 18?
Those are the other two options.
I don't know that it was plus 20. I'm going to go with 18.
He goes with B, 18 episodes. All right, Soup, you are up next. Question 1. Which of these 4 TV series has Cary Elwes not appeared on? Again, he's appeared on 3 of the 4. Which of these has he not appeared on? A, 24. B, Workaholics. C, The X-Files. D, Seinfeld.
And
24, Workaholics, X-Files, Seinfeld.
I'm gonna go with 24.
He says A, 24. Question 2. Which villain did Mandy Patinkin play in Dick Tracy? A, Lips Manless. B, Numbers. C, 88 Keys. D, The Brow.
Shit.
And a minute for the Dick Tracy, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute on Dick Tracy. That's a good one though. I
Got one out of 4 though.
Well, fuck it, man. Lips manless, dude.
He goes A, Lips Manless. He's going A twice in a row here. And question 3. Which main cast member of The Princess Bride appeared in the 2013 film Hansel and Gretel Get Baked? And to make it clear, the synopsis of the film is a brother and sister battle a witch who lures teenagers into her suburban home with her special blend of marijuana, where she then proceeds to kill and eat them to maintain her youth and beauty. One of the main cast members of The Princess Bride appeared in this. Who is it?
I'm pretty sure I've seen this movie, man, and I don't.
It sounds like one that would be up your alley. That's why.
Yeah, man. You know what, man? I'm going with Robin Wright, dude.
He goes with Robin Wright. It is time to figure out who did the things right. Question 1 for Jamie G. We asked which of the 4 movies was not directed by Rob Reiner. You said B, Parenthood. That was correct. So you have 1 point. Soup asked you which of the 4 TV series Cary Elwes has not appeared on. 24, Workaholics, X-Files, Seinfeld. You said 24. Also correct. So good for 1 point. So we're tied. 1 point apiece going into question 2. Jamie G asked you which of the vacation movies did Wallace Shawn appear in. You went with A, Vacation. It was actually D, Vegas Vacation, where he appeared as Marty. So you're stuck at 1 point. Number 2, Soup, which villain did Mandy Patinkin play in Dick Tracy? You went with Lips Manless. It was actually answer C, 88 Keys. He had the time he was a dude playing the piano, all that whatnot. So still tied at 1. Jamie G, question 3. As we record this, 169 episodes of Sunny. You narrowed it down to Fred Savage directed B, 18 episodes. That was correct. So you have 2 points there. Nice job with your reasoning, poker style. Soup, we asked you which main cast member of The Princess Bride appeared in Hansel and Gretel Get Baked from 2013. You went with not Cary Elwes, who was the correct answer. You went with Robin Wright. You were close, but no cigar. So Jamie G has 2 points. The Soup has 1 point. Jamie G, you win. You get a sponge for your efforts. Congratulations. Good job for you. You can give a little short speech, but congratulations. You did it, man. You are the champion of the 3 questions for this episode.
It feels pretty good. I've been running hot, and the biggest thing is just trust your process, man. Sometimes you got to weed through these things, whittle them down, figure it out. But it's be diversified, Trust your process. That's the best you can do. Thank you guys. God bless.
Sounds exactly like a man who's talking himself through some recent stock market downturns.
Yeah, it's been a rough few days.
It always is.
It's time to figure out what we're going to watch next time. And trust me, you do not want to miss this. Unfortunately, we recently lost the legend Val Kilmer, an actor we'd been watching basically our entire lives. Definitely hearts go out to him, his family, and his millions of fans. To honor him, we decided the next thing we watch would be something starring Val Kilmer. Mills wrote some emails, and he couldn't help himself. He did some math, and now he's going to tell us what the numbers said. What are we watching next?
It's amazing how often emails and math cross over, but in this case, it was pretty simple. We all had kind of these interesting Kilmer flicks that we were willing to talk about, but only one was in all of our top 3.
Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Dana Delaney, Powers Booth, Michael Biehn, Bill Paxton, Jason Priestley, Sam Elliott, and Charlton Heston.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me!
Justice is coming to Tombstone.
You don't want to miss 1 second of that movie.
Is it that good?
It's the best goddamn movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
Dude hangs down.
I
don't want to miss that.
It's one of his most famous. It's a very, very fun flick to talk about. I know it's out there to watch on Hulu, so that's what we're going with. We are doing a Tombstone thing. And Jamie G, you're a Huckleberry, right?
I'll be your Huckleberry. I cannot wait to do this one. Not only is Val Kilmer's character as Doc Holliday legendary, the movie itself is awesome, loosely based around some historic stuff here with the Earp game taking on the villain at that time as they tried to get law and order but still maintain basic freedoms. Mills, I don't know that we solved that to this day and age, but it was really cool to see this outstanding cast. Val Kilmer at his best, one of my childhood heroes. I absolutely love Doc Holliday. Always will, always have. Can't wait to do this one.
Soup, add to the hype train here for Tombstone.
Dude, there is nothing I can say to not hype this thing up, man. This is an awesome pick. I'm looking so forward to watching this movie. It's been a minute. I've seen this movie a lot, but I am not going to be like, I've never gotten stale on it. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely looking forward to checking it. It's been probably at least a year plus, maybe even 2. It's been a minute since I've seen it. So very, very cool. Looking forward to this one. And yeah, rest in peace, Val Kilmer, man.
Obviously, rest in peace, Doc Holliday. But yeah, this is a flick where there are multiple, I think, actors giving career highlight performance roles, the best they get in this.
You know, this is another
Johnny.
There's another one that was around that I watched when I was younger, you know, not as young as obviously Princess Bride is a few years back from this, but I was still pretty young when this came out, you know, and it was one that when I watched when I was, you know, not necessarily a kid. I wasn't like, you know, savage. And
I didn't know what Westerns was when I watched this. I think I watched Tombstone before I understood what a Western was, really. I just watched it kind of as a flick, and it was really cool. And it got me into Westerns.
Yeah. It was more of a not so young, but getting there kind of like, when this movie come out? 93?
Yeah, 93, 94. Yeah, right in that range.
All right, so I'm a teenager, you know, or whatever. I'm an early teenager at that point, man. So it was cool. It shows, you know, this movie offers a lot. It depicts, you know, friendship, camaraderie, you know, villains and you know, animosities, and it has a bit of everything, and it's awesome. And the setting and the way where it takes place, and the depicting of the you know, the Old West or whatever is very cool, man. Very cool.
It's the ultimate cool guy, right? Not only is Wyatt Earp the coolest, smooth dude you'll ever imagine, but then you get Doc Holliday, who's even cooler in his own way. You got two major alphas here that respect each other, game recognized game, but are also some of the uniquely cool dudes like in American history.
Very
It's so
similar to
awesome to
Wesley
get
the
them back
Dread Pirate
together again.
Roberts, man. Very cool.
Yeah, there's a little Dread Pirate Doc
That
Holliday in
cool
there.
demeanor, you know, but still
There's
got
a little bit where he does the dude tries to show him up at the table and he just does a little flip ski joint with his little with his little little flask or
It's going to be great to talk about. We
They were
love
speaking in Latin.
Tombstone.
That's Latin.
I'm going to go on about poker, and guys, they did not play Texas Hold'em in this, so I think we're going to talk about a little four-handed, five-handed, maybe pot limit Omaha. We'll dive into it. We'll figure out exactly the poker they were playing. I mean, polka is an honest.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we're actually
I'm
going to
so
do
excited
PLO.
about this.
Probably stud one draw, but I would love to talk some PLO if we can get there.
We will absolutely get there. And, we cannot get there without you. So thank you guys for checking out another episode of Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We really appreciate you. It's so much fun to talk about these awesome movies, awesome shows, awesome pieces of art that we get to break down here with you every step of the way. You made it this far and you didn't hit the thumb. Go ahead and like it. Hit the thumb. We appreciate that a lot. Subscribe to the thing, man. We do a bunch of this stuff. And the best part about it is interact with us. Let us know what you want to see. We're not shy about our demographic, but we do try to do things from all different genres, all different age groups. Let us know what you're feeling. We'd love to break it down right here on Regular Dudes Watch Stuff, because we're just regular dudes watching stuff. I know you feel that. Mills will let you know where you can find all of our social media. We'll catch you on the next one.
And we really appreciate you checking out Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Thanks again for doing so. You can find our content wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com. Very simple, very easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Very important to our success. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure that you've clicked that thumb. I'm Magna Mills with Jamie G and the Soup Deucer. Thanks for checking out the show. Please do it again next time.
And thanks again for checking out Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We're just dudes being dudes, talking about the dude.
The dudes abide.